And everybody, welcome to the first episode of our new podcast, Scream Philly. I am your host, Saint. With me is my host. That would be you. You're
Oh.
my co-host.
Hi, I'm co-host Rose.
I forget who I am.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay. This is the first time that me and Rose have actually done a podcast together. So it is going to be a little bit of a trial and error, back and forth kind of thing until we get it right. But we appreciate everybody here. We're glad you guys joined us for this ride. It should be a good time. Hopefully you learned some things. Probably not how to say people's names correctly, but we'll do our best.
Yeah, we butchered a couple of names.
Start off with on this podcast. Let's see here. But again, thank you guys for joining us. We're gonna let some people trickle in here. I can see that there's a little bit static coming from this back end. Fix that real quick.
How's everyone's day so far? It's rainy and cold in Philly today. The Eagles play at 4:30, and I know we're gonna win. I know it. I feel it in my bones.
That's right. Getting ready for the birds. That's why we did it at 3, so we'd be done by then. We're set to go.
Yeah. Oh, this coffee tastes good. That's what I need. Woo.
All right, so I'm going to just give you a little kind of quick overview of what me and Rose plan to do with this podcast. So, you all can see by the name that I based it around Philadelphia, but we don't plan on keeping all the horror and scary, paranormal, everything. We don't plan to keep it within the confines of this city. This city is one of the most haunted cities in America. We do have a few of what are considered some of the most haunted attractions in Philadelphia, or in the country, located here. And we plan on trying to incorporate every aspect of this city, its stories, as well as its surrounding areas and beyond. And as you'll see from this first episode, we pretty much start off nowhere in this country. So, I mean, we just lied to you on the first episode. This episode is going to be what we consider kind of a holiday episode. Because most of these general stories start around St. Nicholas Day, which is December 6th. Oh, God. I can't get jump scares. I can.
I'm so happy.
For that follow. Holy
I'm
Christ.
so happy.
I forgot I turned it up.
Thanks, Stu.
Both of you, so got me good. Oh, it's gonna be a good time. Anyway, Jesus God. What was I saying? Oh, so we're going to start this as kind of like a holiday, the beginning of our holiday, kind of like our holiday horror. Most of these are going to be legends and lore coming out of Eastern Europe and things like that. Monsters like the Belsnickel, Hans Trap, the Yule Cat, and everyone probably knows this one, Krampus. That is what we'll be focusing this podcast on today. Future podcasts, we're going to include a little bit of aspects from the city, locations and stories, everything from books, movies, even video games, horror games, indie games that me and Rose play. We're going to include all that in it. All forms of horror entertainment that we can think of, it'll be included in this podcast at some point in time. We're also going to take suggestions from our fans. We're going to stories from our fans. Anything you guys want to hear in the horror world, send it to us and we can look it up and we can maybe do a little dive on it in future episodes. We're going to start off this episode with getting to know me and Rose a little bit, just kind of a short little kind of snippet of who we are and where our love for horror has come from. And then from there, we'll jump into some of these legends and lore from the holiday season around the world, and some of them are pretty disgusting. So, should be a good time. So again, thank you guys for hanging out, and let's get started. Rose, do you want to tell a little bit about yourself and where your love for horror comes from? Kind of give them a little bit of a general idea.
Yeah, so basically, I was introduced to horror by one of my uncles. I would always end up at his house babysitting my baby cousins at the time, and there was always a horror movie on, and I kind of just started developing the love from there, and then just started diving into everything horror related, and it kind of just became kind of what my Twitch grew into. So that's all I do now, is just try to play a lot indie horror games mainly. They're very unique. I like them. And I really love anything paranormal related. I have a big love for it. That's about it. Like, honestly, it's just I just kind of grew up with it. There wasn't like if I go to my uncle's house still now, all of those VHS tapes are still there, and we still watch them. Pretty sick.
I mean, it's not far off from mine. My horror love for horror has come from my mom. My mom started me off at a very young age. I think the very first time I ever saw my first horror movie, I think I was like 7 or 8. And that was Nosferatu, the silent film from the 30s. The most iconic scene of a vampire walking up the steps with his arms out where you see his shadow. That is where my love for horror kind of took control over me. And from there it was, she read Stephen King books, I read Stephen King books. She watched the movies, I watched the movies. And today you can see, just from sort of the studio background behind me, you can see, I mean, I'm pretty much a horror fanatic. My entire studio is horror themed. I have horror themed tattoos. Like I said, the very first movie I ever saw was Nosferatu, and I have that tattooed on my arm in memory of times with my mom when I was younger. So that's, basically where my love for horror started. And I continue to, build on that as I grew, and got into paranormal investigating at a certain point in life, and did some really cool events and worked in some pretty cool places. Spent time working at Fort Mifflin on the Delaware in Philadelphia, which is actually one of the most haunted locations in the city and country. Got to do a bunch of other, pretty cool things in the paranormal universe by going to other places and locations with some of the groups that I was affiliated with back in the day. And if all things go well, me and Rose actually might go visit some of these places in real life later down the line, and bring back our experiences and tell firsthand accounts and things like that. So, yeah. So,
yeah. I'm looking forward to that, but I'm also fucking scared.
Believe me, it's all.
Y'all are just gonna see me literally either pissing or shitting myself the entire time.
You in that back dark room by yourself, I'll know what's going on.
Listen, you will be the first person I will haunt if I die. Okay?
Probably will be the first podcast or have a ghost co-host. This would be great.
Goals.
Hashtag goals. Rose sounds great. Saints too low. Saints too low. Saint too low. Well, let's fix that really, really quickly here. How's that, Mike? Can you hear me now? Let me know. It's a voice from beyond the grave. No change. Are you using... Uh-oh. Well, it is our first run. We are going to have some tech problems, I'm assuming here.
Yeah, this is like a tester thing. Thanks, guys, for letting us know.
Whatever you can hear. Let me know. If there was no change on the audio, I will dub it up a little bit more. If I make it go up too much, it'll start to overmodulate, but that's okay. Rose's camera might be a tad bit behind, and that's okay. We will fix it out in the end for next time. All right, that's about as high as I can go before I overmodulate my voice. You're also probably hearing me go up and down a little bit because I do have an omnidirectional mic, and unfortunately, I tend to turn my head a lot to read. So, but we will figure it all out. Like I said, these episodes, once they're done, are going to be put up onto our YouTube page, and the audio will eventually go to Spotify for podcasters. So if you don't catch it live, you can catch the VOD on YouTube, and if not, you can always listen to us on Spotify once the episodes are up. So I think we should jump right into it now. I think that was a good little tiny introduction. We'll get to know people more and more, and you'll get to know more of us as we go. So I think we'll jump into this episode 1, Ho Ho Horror, which, who do you want to start with? I think we should leave Krampus for last because he's kind of the top dog here. So we can start with some of the lower end ones. You want to start with your favorite person that you don't know how to say the name of? We can start with him. Get him out of the way. Rose learned his name. I mean, she's.
Whiff.
Come on, you got it. Do it.
Try it.
She gotta try. It's French, everybody. So I mean.
Futal. I don't know why I'm doing the Italian.
She had the inflection. She threw her hand out there, like she was ready.
Futal.
Just in case anybody really wants to hear what it's supposed to sound like, it's this.
Père Fouettard.
I think she was the closest out of all of us. I don't know. I wasn't certainly going to get it at all. But yes, so Pref Foutoir. So he, you want to take that one? You can do it if you want to do that
one. So basically, Pref Foutal is someone that is known as either the whip daddy, daddy whipper, father whipper. Basically,
that, 18 and older onto this one.
Someone has kinks. Anyways, so basically, this person is said to hang out with Saint Nicholas, and he goes around. I think December 6th. He goes around December 6th looking for, or rather, giving out coals and whipping naughty kids. It's actually French. Anyways, what happened with him was that, what year did this come out? 1252. All right. So, 1252, he ends up capturing 3 little boys with father. Oh, got it. He ends up capturing 3 little boys, and they were wealthy at that, and they were apparently in a religious boarding school. Ends up kidnapping them, drugging them, killing them by slitting their throats, and then would cut them up to pieces and then cook them, and they would have stew. What's his name? Santa Claus or Saint Nick found out. Ended up saving or resurrecting the 3 little boys, taking them back home, and then basically told this guy, hey, why don't we work together and I give gifts to the good kids while you beat and give coals to the bad kids. I don't understand how that was a good
cop,
idea.
Bad cop kind of thing.
Like, I mean, I guess the good cop, bad cop type of, dynamic.
I don't know where you go from resurrecting the kids that he killed to allowing him to deal out punishment later. But you're going to see a lot of that same kind of concept as we go through different places throughout the world for some of these legends. They all have that same, like, oh, you did bad. Well, slap on the wrist. How about you come do bad for me to scare these naughty kids kind of deal. And it's a little bit weird to know that back then that was used to scare your kids. And I guess it's not far off now, because now it's kind of like, oh, if you don't do your chores or whatever, we're going to take this away from you. But back then it was, if you don't do what you're supposed to do, these giant goblins are going to come put you in a bag and take you to hell. It's a little extreme,
Yeah.
but I love it.
So, one thing I did find out yesterday though was that there is an American version, that was like in the 1930s, but the difference was that instead of was Pierre?
Yeah, it's just Pierre. It's Pierre
oh my
now.
God, I
Now
just
it's
fucked it
Pierre.
up. Anyways, Pierre. He was known as Father Flog in America, and instead of having Saint Nicholas, he had a female counterpart, and her name was Mother Flog. And basically, they would go around and cut the tongues out of the children's mouth for just lying.
Yeah. America totally turned that one over. Okay. Oh, it's one thing if
like,
we just cut you up, but now we're going to cut your tongue out. Okay. That's...
Yeah, we're gonna let you live. You're just not gonna have a tongue now anymore. And that was like kind of a torture thing back in the days too. So that kind of sounds a little bit more realistic to me.
Yeah,
in that sense.
I mean, I definitely agree. Anything that, I mean, like I said, reading some of these as we were doing research on some of these, and like seeing the level that they went to, you know, it was pretty gruesome. And to know that they were stories not only told, but like played out as kind of like moving plays throughout little like towns and things like that nature, you know. And it's like, I can't imagine being a child back then and someone knocking at the door and opening it up and it be one of these, you know, characters and having to interact in some way with it. Like, I think that my little heart would probably stop. You know, so it's crazy to see where, you know, where they go and how they change over time. You know, obviously all stories are going to change, but to go from, you know, slapping here on the wrist to cutting out tongues is a big jump from country to country. So, yeah. So that was the father whipper, Pierre Fatouad. I think I said it as close as I'm going to get it.
Yeah.
So all right. So we'll go.
I would say though, I was gonna mention like when, like as a little kid, we had our boogeyman, you know, and ours, like how you say like it's different with countries. Ours was El Chupacabra, and with that is like, you know, it translates to goat sucker, but it in general, the tale was that it would eat or suck the blood of anything, and my parents would scare me and be like, oh, if you don't do this, you don't do that, the Chupacabra is gonna come for you. And it would scare me.
That's a fantastic Christmas story.
Scare me.
Well, yes. I mean, it is. You know, I think I don't remember growing up. Obviously, I mean, I have an Italian background, so there is Italian versions of these stories. There's obviously there's Russian stories of the Christmas witch. They call her the Christmas witch, but the babushka, that's the Russian side of things. You have Mother Holly, I believe, is the Italian side of things. But they all kind of fit into that same lore legend where, you know, the naughty kids, in their cases, were just, you know, went to extremes and removal of tongues, taken to hell, thrown in a basket, whipped with a stick kind of deal. And the good kids got candies and presents, you know what I mean? So, I don't think I ever got.
It's crazy how it goes from you're gonna get coal to you're getting your tongue taken out.
Like a gigantic shift and a huge gap in where it goes from. There ain't nothing in the middle here. It's like you're bad, you get coal, and then next year it's like, no, we decided that if you're bad, you lose your tongue. So it's So what do you say? If you're good, you get presents. If not, you get maimed. Fair trade. Yeah, it's exactly how a lot of these stories played out.
You know,
so you had Pierre Fatouad as the in the French in the French scene. You also had Hans Trapp. Tron's Trap was also another French legend. His legend was a little bit more, I don't know if I can say more realistic, but I think I can believe this one a little bit more. Hans Trapp was, by all accounts, a real person who was a rich man, but he was also an evil man who worshipped Satan. And he was excommunicated from the church. He was exiled from the town where he lived. He was forced to live in the woods that surrounded this town. And to get back as his revenge, he would kidnap children from this town, and that was his food source. And he would do it disguised as a scarecrow. He would dress up as a scarecrow. He would take these kids, and he would essentially eat them. Now, the legend for this goes is that God punished him by striking him dead with a bolt of lightning. However, the lore is that he still visits kids, he still visits children before Christmas dressed as a scarecrow to scare them into good behavior. Like, again, another story where, it's has this crazy backtail to it, but used to scare kids into being good so they can get a gift. Mind you, again, in the 1500s, it's like, it's a little crazy for me. But I respect it.
I think he's dubbed the Christmas boogeyman, which is surprising because you would think Krampus.
Well, I think Krampus is just, that's a whole nother realm of, everything. Like, you got Hans Trapp dressed as a scarecrow, and then you got, a 12-foot, horned demon.
Demon?
So,
yeah.
I think that along those lines, I think he, obviously he's the top of the list because of the level of fear that puts into somebody. I mean, more Hans Trapp kind of would seem like nowadays version of a serial killer. That's what that kind of fits more towards me. Believing in.
He was the Hannibal.
Believing in the part where he's struck down by God or anything like that. Take that out of the equation, and that is, that's a serial killer. What happened? What I'm hearing is the French are afraid of everything.
That's
to any of our French listeners.
My friend.
Don't condone that.
He's French. He's French and German.
He's talking smack then, and that's okay. Not. Oh
my God! Oh no, we're starting.
We are in Philadelphia after all. We always get in trouble here. All right, so shit. We did Pierre Fortoid.
There's gonna be a war in the chat.
Trapp. We can bring over a local one here. It's not local per se, but this is the Belsnickel, and I said it. I did it. I got it. And this is a Southwest German lore, and Southwest German lore survived coming to the United States with the Pennsylvania Dutch, and the Pennsylvania Dutch still believe in this legend, this lore that they brought from home. After all, German born.
Mom.
Mama Rose.
That's my mother.
How are you? It's good to see you. Your daughter is, doesn't know how to say French words very well, so I'm just letting you know. So the Belsnickel, Southwest German, brought over to America with the Pennsylvania Dutch, and he comes before Christmas he comes after people he only comes after people with like tattered clothing and raggedy fur. He carries a switch, he frightens children, and he gives candy to the kids with good behavior. So if you essentially were a poor kid and you didn't have nice clothes, you got attacked by this monster, just for that reason. That's what it sounds like to me.
Wow.
They do retell it as in modern visits that the switch is only used for noise. It's to warn the children to be good, and then all the children get candy if they're polite. The Belsnickels, that it's the meaning behind it is to wallop. I think that, again, in the beginning it was this extremely large, like, if you're not good, this person is going to come and take you away and never bring you back. And then it turned out to be like, maybe these are just a little too extreme for kids at some point. So if you're not good, you just don't get candy. It's, again, one of those giant gaps. Yeah. And a lot of the things that I had read originally when I was doing a lot of this research is that a lot of some of these stories and a lot of these lores changed when the Brothers Grimm began writing stories.
Oh
yeah,
fuck,
we'll
I
probably
love
get
the
into some of
Brothers
that too,
Grimm.
because I love them as well. But that they started to change up some of the stories. They started to add and remove and kind of manipulate some of the legends and lore from way back then, into something else. And that is probably why we see so many different versions of this. Obviously, no one's ever going to be able to say, yeah, that's the exact reason why it goes from this extreme to that extreme. But if you know anything about fairy tales and you know anything about the Brothers Grimm, you know that was extreme difference into what you see today from what they wrote. So it definitely could be all parts of that.
It takes off those rose-colored glasses. And it's just
for
like,
sure. Some of the Grimm fairy tales, when you read them, you're just like, what is happening?
Dude, but it's so good, and I'm like, oh my god, why does this actually makes more sense?
Original,
like, what?
Brothers Grimm writings make so much
like,
more
it
sense
makes
sometimes.
more
when you read
sense.
them and actually take a long look at them and go, yeah, this is right. Snow White being one of them, and it's like,
yes, I was gonna say that Snow White was like the biggest one that like really got me. That story particularly.
So we move on. Actually, we don't. Do we move on to? Where was Greyla from? Greyla is Icelandic, right? So I wrote her name down so I could read it. It's Grýla. I wrote it down phonetically. Grýla. Grýla she's an ogress, and she lived in the woods. She apparently had 13 kids 13 troll children that were called the Yule Lads. She also had a pet cat that they call the Yule Cat, and I couldn't even begin to tell you how to say the actual name. Yola Cat Arne is how you says, like, if you say it out phonetically, but we'll go with the Yule Cat because it's easier. Each one of those three have their own stories involved in them, their own different kind of tales. We'll start with Grýla. So she was an ogress. She kidnapped kids, cooked them, and ate them who didn't obey their parents. And that was her story. In 17th century is when she became associated with Christmas. So stories before the 17th century, when she existed, did not have Christmas involved. So around in the 17th century, somebody decided, like, hey, this story might be a really good way to scare our kids again into being good, around the holidays, for in that sense, for Christmas. She apparently had 3 different husbands and 72 children. So it's a lot of trolls.
Oh shit, 72?
Yes.
I only knew
13
the
are the
13
Yule, of the children that they talk about as the Yule as the Yule Lads. But yes, 72 children, 3 different husbands, and she was essentially just another form of fear to put into the children back in the early 1600s. It's again, reading these stories and where they come from and how they derived and what they were meant to do is kind of just fascinating to see, like, how they thought back then. And now, if you did that, you're horrible. like, like now you do that, you make the news. Like, local parents scare kids half to death with giant demon figure for Christmas, not Halloween, for Christmas. So, definitely.
Yeah. A little fun fact about like that entire like Yule lads and stuff like that. Like in witch culture, every time Christmas comes, everyone's heard of like the Yule log, right? So the reasoning behind it is that when you turn on the Yule log, at the chimney, it prevents them from coming down the chimney because they get into your house through the chimney. So the Yule log is supposed to protect that from happening. And it happens I think it's every Christmas Eve. You have to do it. Well, the witches do it.
I like that. I mean, at least it gives them some kind of, all right, we're going to put this on the fire to protect ourselves, kind of thing. A little bit of symbolic safety for the giant ogre that's coming to eat you.
And it's crazy, like when you look at Christmas now, like, and you listen to these stories, it's like everything it connects, right? Whether it be true or not, it's just the lore itself is just like so entertaining. And it's just like Christmas is supposed to be, a holy day, right? Like a special day, not a holy day, but like a special day, right? But it's evil. It's evil.
You are the devil.
You're the devil.
Grayla. All right, so we can talk about. Do you have the trolls, her children, or do you have the cat? Well, go ahead.
I have the cat.
I'll talk about her 13 adorable troll children.
So basically, shit. So basically, with the Yule cat, it's very similar. It eats the kids as well. It is Greta's pet that she takes with her. But what is it? Oh my god, I forgot what I was gonna say. Okay, so anyways, basically they all of them will come down. This kind of goes with the Yule lads too, because they kind of connect. They come from because they lived in the mountains, the very snowy mountains, where no one can literally get there. So they come down from those days, and they look for the children, and I know like the 13 kids actually all have different jobs, like their names are fucking crazy, but every one of their names actually is what they do. So with the cat, it's just there. It's just the attack dog, if that makes any sense.
It does make sense. A cat used to symbolize again fear into children, something that you think as a nowadays is obviously as a pet, but back then no, you know what I mean.
Oh, but the thing is though, it wasn't an average
it was huge.
Cat size.
Yeah,
it was a giant. It was a giant. I forgot to mention that. Like it towers over homes.
Killed their kids.
So yeah, I'm a cat lover, but I will say if I see that shit ever, fuck. No, thank you.
So part of the Yule Cat's legend and lore was that it was used to encourage children to do hard work, and to not be lazy, and the fact that it could tell by those, it could differentiate between those who did work and those who didn't by the clothes they wore. So if you got new clothes before Christmas, it meant you were working hard, and if you didn't and you were lazy, you didn't have new clothes. Again, I think there's a flaw in that, but if you didn't have new clothes, this cat could and might eat you, and
I think, and it's funny because I feel like the story was created because parents were like, well, I'm gonna buy you, because as a kid growing up, opening a present, you get clothes, you're like, ugh, like now I embrace all the pajamas my parents buy me. I have too many pajamas, but I love them. But I feel like it was just created so that the kids could like not be ungrateful and be like, Be happy that you got new clothes, or that cat's gonna eat you up.
If you don't like your new socks, this cat's gonna murder you. I like this. This is great.
Yeah.
You saw a 25-pound cat last. No, you didn't. You just saw a raccoon and you called it a cat. I know you.
Funny story. I thought I saw a 25-pound cat in front of my door one time. I went up to it to pet it. It was a fucking possum. Ran back in the car. So never again.
We're excited to get clothes for the holidays now. Not me. I still want toys. Yes, it was a cat.
I like, for me, when it comes to clothes, I love big sweaters and like baggy like pants, like the sweatpants and stuff like that. Like that's what I love.
I don't want to leave the house if I don't have
get
to,
them.
so I can care. I want to be comfortable.
Well, no, that yeah, right. Like that's just me inside the house. Like I just like being in like the baggy clothes. I just feel like I could just hide in it. The kids come down, I just hide in my sweater. Like if you don't see me, I'm just a pile of clothes.
So yeah, so Grayla had 13 kids. Well, she had 72 kids, but they focus on 13 Icelandic trolls. There is a possibility that in the way the stories were written originally, it was a poem, and that none of them actually were family members. But because of the way it was writings, scholars had said that they must all be connected in some way. So they just left it as a family dynamic. And since they all kind of pretty much mimic each other's, way they do things, I would probably say that it's true. So the 13 Icelandic trolls, or the Yule lads, they are considered to be the children of Grayla. Like Rose said, they do all have different names. We are not going to even attempt to try any of them. But each one of their names kind of corresponds with what they did. They weren't as like vicious as Grayla was. They were more mischievous. They would steal different things from the people. They would steal from you. They would take your clothes. They would take your shoes. They would take the chamber pots. Obviously back then.
So I found the English translations of their names, like what it correlates
All right, let's
to.
hear 'em.
Yeah.
Are you gonna attempt the real names
basically,
first or no?
I can't even fucking like, my eyes goes cross-eyed.
I'm pretty sure that one
trying to even look
the
at
cat's
this.
name had like 16 letters in it. I think when I tried to do it. Yeah, it's like 12 letters.
Dude, I can't.
That was the cat. So
Some of these names literally has that letter that has like
it's
the A and the E together.
it's two words
I don't
at
even
the
know
same
how to
time.
pronounce that, so I'm not even gonna do
I
that.
got it.
But like basically, and these are fucking silly names, honestly. There's bowl licker, spoon licker, pot scraper, door slammer, guy gobbler, sausage swiper, window peeper, doorway sniffer, meat hook, candle stealer, stubby.
So from Harry Potter.
Stubby. Here's his description. He's abnormally short and steals pans
Oh my
to
God,
eat the
Mike, that's
crust
like
left
just
on
like
them.
you, Mike.
This-
Mike is Shaz in the chat. God, Mike, I didn't know you were a Christmas Story.
Yeah, so like
Crowded, we don't
these
actually
names
know.
are actually hilarious, but
we might not be sure. We think it's scary stuff.
yeah, I mean,
As soon as she said that, I tried to get my keyboard out to cut your joke off. Yeah, you lost.
but man. But yeah, so their names are basically self-explanatory, and what their names were was what they
mischievous.
did.
They just
essentially.
they didn't steal you from your bed and take you to the forest and eat you. They stole your socks and knocked over a couple things around your house. I think I might take that one over the latter editing day. So yeah, I think that.
Yeah, I think these are the only
They might
ones
be.
that don't eat children. Now that I think about it, everyone else eats
They might
kids.
be. So I think that I give them a A for effort in not harming children and other people for Christmas.
Yeah.
Making your son listen to scary stories. Yes, you got to. Look, it's Halloween all year round, all right, even when it's Christmas.
Yeah.
We'll do
Yeah.
the next one is another German, Austria, kind of witch. Her name is, I don't even know if I say it right, Faru Percha. I don't know if I sounded right, but I get pretty close to how they sound it. So, and this one is a little bit more. She's a little bit more diabolical in the sense that she hands out both rewards and punishments, but for the 12 days leading up to Christmas. So from the 25th, so she doesn't just. It's not one or the other. So her. And she's best known for the most gruesome punishments of them all. She will rip out your internal organs and replace them with garbage.
Oh, I heard of this one.
Thought to have descended from the legend of the Alpine goddess of nature, who tends to the forest for the year but deals with humans only during Christmas. There's some connection between her and La Befana, which is the Italian version of the same story, who functions on the same realm, like in the same way. She's like an ugly but good witch who leaves presents to the good kids. Like, they kind of put like good and evil and they kind of like sew it together, and they're like, well, no, here's her and she's a good witch, but she's gonna rip you apart and put garbage in your chest if you don't do your chores or help around the house.
So also though with Fall, she and the story wasn't only for kids; it was for women as well that didn't keep their houses clean. Yeah.
Babe, are you listening? I don't want anything bad to happen
to you. But so that was like one of the lore of hers as well, and like apparently too, like if you were good, she leave you a coin, I think. But also one of the things that the tradition was leaving out a hot porridge with butter, and if it wasn't hot and it didn't have butter, you're dead.
Shameless Wawa iced tea plug. It's not shameless, okay? Wawa would be a great sponsor. Hey, Wawa, hit us up.
Fucking shit, dude. See, I would 100%. Drink all their iced teas.
We're local. God. What was the name of the
Yeah.
What was the weird runner-up one we were doing last night? Was the name of the horse? It was like Mira.
Oh, Mari Lin.
So I don't have that in front of me, but essentially, do you have it?
So,
go
okay.
ahead. Because this one is great. This one is not one of the ones that comes and steals you from your bed. This was another weird tradition that was based on, it does.
It sounds fun.
It was more of a call and response tradition. Go ahead. If you have it, read it.
Yeah, so basically, this was a tale like from Wales, and basically, between Christmas and the 12th night, you'll get a knock on the door, and there will be a person with the skull of a horse, and they would have like a hooded cape or something on them. It would be like decorative, but basically, they would challenge you in rhyme or songs now and ask you to let them in, and every time you would deny them, they would give you more challenges, basically to the point where you no longer have any more excuses to not let them come in, and eventually do let them come in, but then you're just having a party. They gift you beer and food.
So essentially, you don't die, you just gotta feed them and drink with them. Like, I think we should bring this one back. Like, this one I think needs to be here now, all the time. Like, I mean, I'll pretend to rhyme with you, but
oh, and it also Yeah, and they also brought like good luck and fortune too to the household, the people that lived in
Yes,
the
I mean,
house. So that's a good
yeah,
Christmas
I
lore.
agree. I think this one should be on the up above the mantle in everyone's household. All right, so that gives
Yeah.
us all the besides Petra, who kind of scary, you know, intestines, garbage, all that stuff. That leads us to the top of the list, and these are just like I said. There's hundreds and hundreds of different lures and legends from around the world that have to deal with Christmas, but essentially, or holidays, or whatever that culture celebrated. They all tend to have very similar, like beliefs and what they did and how they did things. And they all kind of point back to the top dog here, and that's Krampus. Um,
The daddy of all
and
Christmas
Krampus,
lures. Or
yeah,
stepdad.
right. You know, Krampus kind of supersedes all these other. Thank you for the follow, Dark Star.
Oh. Hey, Dark.
Woo!
Dude, it actually scared me because I just saw the fucking It Clown's face and I just realized that's the original one, and I told you yesterday that I'm afraid of that one.
I did it on purpose.
You fucking asshole.
I was gonna have it blown up real big, but I was.
It actually scared me. I'm like, whoa, why is that there?
No, I got. Yeah.
Thank you, Dark, for the follow.
All right, so Krampus.
I appreciate
or
you.
some people call it Krampus. It's again, this one kind of takes the cake because this is what this one has celebrations based around it even to this day. Krampusnacht and is the Krampus Run, and places in in Germany and things like that. They do these events. There's actually local events here in the United States, I believe, where essentially it's a parade of Krampuses. People dressed up as demonic demons with multi-layered horns and baskets and switches to kidnap and take all the children that were bad. And it's another one of those. Sometimes Krampus is sometimes associated with Petra. It was changed a little bit around. You kind of go that it was with her, and then it becomes with Saint Nick. And it's the good cop, bad cop role. Saint Nick is there to give you the presents, but Krampus is there to take you if you are not a good child. Again, full demonic creature, horns, fangs and teeth, carrying a wooden basket to put you in, to take you back to hell. That is essentially Krampus. It's comes from Bavarian, Krampen meaning dead and rotten, and the Kramp portion in German meaning claw. So it's something rotting flesh with claws. So yeah, essentially,
Essentially.
What better way to celebrate Christmas than with a walking dead monster? But, I feel it works for me though. I'd rather see Krampus. If Krampus brings me gifts, I'm happy.
Yeah.
You got modern,
Don't.
There's been a ton of movies made off of Krampus. The most recent one is, or the biggest one is Krampus.
Why are you?
2015, I think. I think it was 2015. The movie, yeah. I think 2015
The movie?
Krampus. There's
Yeah.
bunch of other ones. There's the Mother of Krampus. There's so many different versions of it, but they all tell the same story. That demon who comes to take you. I think the 2015 version actually has him the closest with what quote unquote Santa Claus, wearing a red, where Krampus wears a red suit, comes down the chimney, and kills everybody in the house. So not exactly, how the legend and lore goes, but it works for.
Yeah, Krampus Day is actually December 5th going to December 6th, so that's when
Right.
he's
And that
been
was
said
because
to
December
visit the
6th
homes.
is St. Nicholas's Day. So Krampus would come the day before, and he would take away all the bad kids, and then that would leave St. Nick on St. Nicholas's Day to reward all the kids that were left. That was essentially how, it was written out in their story, and that story hasn't necessarily changed much over time. This one kind of kept its, kept its legend and lore intact. For the most part, it doesn't change. There's a million pages of like legend. There's a million pages of lore where it's been seen, different regional variations of it, everywhere from Bosnia Herzegovina, Croatia, Czech Republic, Hungary, Romania, Northern Italy. They all have their own versions of Krampus. They all have their own folklore and backstory and tales, to talk about when it comes to Krampus. So it's still in the scheme of him being like, he's very versed. Like, more regions know of him than any of the other, legends and lore. They all have their own version, which I think is kind of pretty cool.
And I think, if I'm not mistaken, Krampus is the only one that they actually have like a female version
Yes.
as well. From what I read, like they don't like, sometimes they talk about
Yes, there
him
is.
as a her.
Yeah.
So it's like,
There are writings. There are some times when it's said that Krampus, and they do they group in Krampus and Petra together, and sometimes change, like, she is Krampus. Other times, what she used to have in her army, or the people that followed her, what they called straggles. They looked like Krampus. They were these beasts with horns and claws. And some say that's where Krampus originally came from. It was one of her minions that went out on her own. Some people say that sometimes you read the stories, it's actually her, and that was the form she took to scare kids and to attack children. Again, there's a lot of different. It varies a little bit from region to region, but the story, how it worked, how it came to be, kind of stays the same when it comes to Krampus. Some of these other stories have 2 or 3 different versions of them, and some of them aren't even close. Like, the one, obviously, one rips out your tongue, but then another version, they just give you candy and tell you to be good. And then there's somewhere in the middle. This one, Krampus never changes. Krampus is always that guy.
well, sometimes though, with Krampus, like, there's the story about him like going after little kids. There's actually another one where he actually just goes after women.
Again, I wonder if that has if the way that works is like something to do with how it was back when the stories in the 15th century, where
right, to like calm them down, like like if women look too sexualized, he would go after them. So yeah, again, like, it was probably just something that was created again to calm that situation down. So more women would cover up and things like that.
So the appearance of Krampus, the way he dressed, or the way that they dress him up, also had some kind of symbolization. Like, what is it? Is that a word? Did I just make up a new word? Symbolism.
What?
Symbolism.
What?
I said it. Symbolism is right.
What?
But so, like, they would sometimes you would see him dressed in chains, and that would symbolize the binding of the devil by the church. Sometimes he would be accompanied with bells of various sizes, and you would get that from the pagan side of things, from the pagan origins of Root. The branches that he carried were there to use to swat children. Um, they were.
I wonder if that's where like the Christmas
Mhm.
Carol, the movie, like took that. Like when Marley comes back, he's
Probably.
got chains and bells.
Um,
It's interesting.
he would occasionally swat children with the branch. The root had significant in pre-Christian pagan rituals. The birch branches are replaced with a whip in some representations. He appears with a sack or a basket sometimes, and that's to cart the evil children off to either drown them, eat them, or transport them to hell. With the older versions mentioning naughty kids being put in the basket or the bag and taken away. This is a stark contradiction to what Saint Nick is, where he brings the bag full of toys to give to the children. So again, it's popular culture has a bunch of movies dedicated to Krampus. If you are a horror fan and you so inclined want to watch all those, you can get them on Shudder.
I need to get Shudder. I keep
you
forgetting.
get them on Shudder. You can watch
this,
them
I'm gonna sign up.
all, and you can check out a bunch of cool things there. We're actually probably going to start recommending movies as well that we like. You'll see that pop up on our Twitter feed and our Instagram pages. You can follow us on Twitter at Scream Philly. You can follow us on Instagram at Scream Philly Podcast. Some of the pictures of what we talked about here today will pop up over there as well for you guys to see them on both of those channels. So you kind of get a visual representation of what we were talking about today on these ones.
Yeah.
Like I said, we want to hear your recommendations for cool horror movies. Maybe we didn't see something that you liked, so we want that from you guys. We want to hear any cool kick-ass personal stories that you guys may have. Have you guys?
Yeah, especially when we get into
we get those
paranormal stuff, like because we have a lot to share.
Ton to share.
I'm
so
excited to hear your
for
stories.
one of them, I might actually cut the video that I did for when I was on an episode of Scream Paranormal, and I might actually show that to you guys. And I look like I'm 12 in that. That's ridiculous. That's just scary in itself. So that should be. Oh God!
Oh no, a young saint!
So
Get away!
So that's going to be something that's going to be coming up with the paranormal stuff later down the line as well. I don't know. Do you have anything else you want to talk about with these guys that we did today? I think we covered a bunch of them. We didn't cover all of them, obviously. There's just too many of them.
Yeah, we just got like the top ones that are very popular and things like that. But what I did wanted to say about Krampus though, and I'm not sure if it still happens now, but I was reading up like in 2013, like they have these events where they take revenge on those nights that Krampus came, and people would whip each other or like hit each other with branches and shit. And apparently over 60 people ended up in the hospital because of it. I'm not sure if they still do it, but it's in Germany. That they
like
do it.
Mosh pit with Krampus, and you just kind of get to take your anger.
I think it's just an excuse for people that are into BDSM. I'm just saying.
Maybe.
I think that's what it is.
I would really. I don't want to go to one of those versions of it, but I would really want to go to like the running of the Krampus, like the actual things. I think.
I'll just watch from afar.
Out somewhere.
Yeah, I gotta watch.
That might be. What is that?
Take a call your range.
I'm trying to see. There's one called.
It's so cold that my coffee
Krampus
got
Lauf,
cold.
and that's the Krampus Run. But there's also another one called Perchen Lauf, and I think that might be the one where they fought each other.
I don't know what it was called.
The adults to offer Krampus schnapps.
Oh, and apparently there's a fish that was named after Krampus.
If it's that ugly, I don't want to eat it.
Wonder why.
Definitely don't want to eat it. Well, I mean, like I said,
what the fuck?
This is how you're gonna get. You're gonna get with the way this podcast is going to go. You're going to get us being us. We're not going to get overly in depth on like the entire legend lore of everything. We're going to give you enough of it so you understand it, enough so you know it. Maybe you leave here with a little bit of knowledge. Maybe you leave here with a headache. I don't know.
But you'll definitely leave here laughing.
Yeah,
either at us or with us.
Me and Rose wanted to do something that, we can showcase our love for horror, but we can also showcase our love for making content. And we can kind of, bring everything about, the horror world, movies, games, things of that nature kind of into one spot. Plus, again, like I said, we do live in an awesome city, where there is a ton of haunted things and stuff like that. This being the first one, we're going to run into some audio issues. We're going to run into video issues. We'll try and get them all squared away. And, I hope you guys stay along the ride with us because I think as we go, I'm sure it's going to get a lot better. That's probably going to happen.
especially when we start getting to the point of visiting.
Once we start telling
places.
the stories of the things that we personally know, the stories that we, the stories that we're like, the things that are more inclined to get us scared. I think you guys are going to see a whole lot better. I guess it'll just make it flow better. I know right now sometimes for this episode you're probably going to hear, I already heard that. But again, like I said, 8 of these all have similar things that they've done and the way that their legends and lore go. So that's why it kind of sounded the same for this one. But again,
and as well, obviously, you guys have already seen, but we'll use this channel as well to stream certain games, horror games specifically. And we have a few on our list that are actually based off of real life situations. So those are the scarier ones. Being able to be in something that someone else experienced. So that's something that we're definitely gonna do as well. It'll either be him or me. We'll go back and forth.
So on that new channel, on this channel,
but
all you're gonna see is horror on
this
channel. That's all you're gonna see. So the games that are gonna be played, all different horror games, and then the podcast, obviously. And like I said, we're gonna start getting more and more involved with the Twitter side and Instagram side, posting pictures, posting different things like that, stories, things of that nature. We want to interact with you guys, the fans. If you're a horror fan, we want to hear from you. We want to, like I said, we want to hear your favorite movies. We want to hear your recommendations for horror movies. We want to hear your stories. We want to hear, paranormal stuff that, did it happen to you? Things of that nature. Where you live. What is the scariest paranormal thing that comes out of your town or city, things of that nature. And we want to get involved. We want to have those dialogues on Twitter, and obviously in here. We love seeing you guys chatting here. We really appreciate the follows. Mike is throwing some devil symbols up down there, apparently. We want this to be like a kind of an interactive party where me and Rose get to interact with other kick-ass horror fans, and like Rose said, yes, we do plan on doing things in the future, IRL stuff, going to different locations. Obviously, they're not all going to be horror-based because we're not going to be able to. A lot of these places, ever since COVID, they just do normal tours now, not paranormal investigations or paranormal tours. Some still do. It is.
Yeah,
COVID
it's a
ruined
shame.
lot of stuff.
The penitentiary. State Penitentiary is no longer doing nights right now. It's just tours. That's definitely something that we want to do in the future. So hopefully,
and it's
that
always
opens
better
up.
to do them off
until
Halloween season
then,
when they're not done up for Halloween.
Oh hell yeah! I'm not doing that
However,
shit. I would be fucking shitting myself going through that and then seeing a damn mannequin. That would be my ghost. I'm like, all right, Saint, I can't. I'm the gun.
But places like
I'm gonna bring all the
just
sage
throwing
with me.
salt behind her, just circles. But place,
Yeah, I'm gonna be like the girl from fucking Hocus Pocus and just everywhere
Byberry.
I go, there's
I
a
am
salt
actually going to tell you the
circle
stories about Byberry.
under
We're going
me.
to talk about Byberry. I didn't see anything that we were super paranormal, or we could say paranormal, but Byberry will definitely be in there. That Ben Salem school was a little creepy as well. The fort is definitely going to be. Mike knows the fort. Mike was there with us. He was one people that would come down and work with us and party down there. The fort is definitely going to be one of the bigger ones that we have a conversation about. If things all go well, there might actually be something kind of really cool later down the line next year, with involving the fort. We'll keep that under wraps for now.
Yeah.
But
I
that's
just got
something
anxiety
cool.
just
I'm also looking into do something else with Penhurst. There might be a chance for us to go out and do an actual get in on a hunt with a group that does Penhurst all the time. And Penhurst Asylum is up in Spring City. Yeah. Most of you guys probably know it just from if you're local or in Philadelphia, in PA, it's known for its haunted attraction every year. If you're
we have ghost tours here. Like, I think it's not every October. It's actually every month. Is it not?
Penhurst.
I think
that one does it all the time because that's Spring City, PA. So that's like an hour away from here.
No, I meant the
Philly tours. That's
the
all the time.
tour
That's
down
like
Center
every week.
City. Yeah. We have like a specific like tour bus that takes everybody through
one year. It was awesome. A friend of mine just did it not too long ago. Said it was great. They also have a bus tour you can do. But Penhurst Asylum is an actual old mental institution that's up in Spring City. It's known for it's one of the top haunted attractions in the world, like actual like done up for Halloween kind of deal. But you can go there and actually visit and do walkthroughs off season and things like that. So like I said, if you're a local, if you're a metalhead, you've seen this this asylum was the place where Motionless in White did their live concert from.
Oh yeah, I'm
so
sad I missed
out
that.
Front of the building. They are awesome. There was a whole bunch of places I always went to visit going around the country. But COVID kind of put a big hit like on a lot of different things back then. So for now,
they just started doing the Betty Ross one again.
Betty Ross's house. They just opened a whole bunch of them. Well, then a lot of them, because of COVID, like a lot of places that did tours, they turned into just strictly residences, no tours, and they haven't reopened those tours, and that's the problem. There's a metal festival near me.
But in time.
The same one from Shawshank? Ah, shit. Well, Crowded, I'll give you 5 points if you can tell me who wrote Shawshank Redemption. God damn. You can't. All right, go ahead. You can steal. You hit the.
No, he did it.
You hit
the
butter.
Even try to Google that.
You hit it second. You hit it second. Go ahead, you can tell. Yes. Shawshank Redemption is a Stephen King product. Is a product of Stephen King.
Yeah.
I won't even go into our. Me and Rose were having way too much fun with our. Oh God damn it! Why am I blanking on his name? No, the voice thing that we have. What Morgan Freeman? God damn! We were both blanking on the Morgan Freeman. We were both playing with the Morgan Freeman sound effect yesterday.
Yesterday, I couldn't remember his name.
Nope, I'm being assaulted by a 4-year-old right now. Brittany is on basics. You're good. Stephen King. Mike came up with the answer. It's okay. Mike, you win. You win a week of work this week. I hope you enjoy it. Be in at 5 a.m. because I'm not going to be there. I'm off. Remember. But like I said, Anything else, Rose? You got anything else you want to tell the people, the masses? We had a good turnout for the first one. I like it. You know.
Yeah, basically all I'm saying is that we have a lot of shit like set up for, especially like from Philly. Like we're looking at other places as well, but right now, because we are in Philly and it's obviously the easiest to do, there are a lot of places that we have in mind, especially places that was featured in like movies by M. Night Shyamalan, which
She
I'm
tried to take
excited
me.
about.
She tried to get
Might
me to be
even
like,
show you the
go up
the
to
comic book. I told you, right? My parents live down the block from the comic book.
She wants me to go like see the Village place. I'm like, that's a private road. We're probably gonna get arrested. Like.
Yeah. So there there was that one. There was the demonic tree one that I wanted to go to, but it is surrounded by certain people, so I would be a target. Saint would have to protect me.
Start doing like weird spells.
Oh God. Like, yeah, so there's this one where apparently if you try to cut it down, something happens. Yeah, Unbreakable.
Hey, Vinny, how you doing? Oh, a whole lot of bots.
Getting all the bots out.
Oh, God. Clear those bots. Anyway.
Bye. But yeah, it's going to be an exciting time. And I hope you guys will join us for the ride.
Well, again, that's where we're going to end it here. We're going to try and keep them probably between an hour and so long. If they go over, that's okay. The future ones might be a little bit longer because we might just really be getting into telling the stories. Who knows? But we appreciate every single one of you guys for coming here. We appreciate the love. Again, if you don't follow this, follow us on Twitter at Scream Philly. Follow us on Instagram at Scream Philly Podcast. Drop a likes, the follows, everything like that. Hit the bells and all that stuff. These will go up onto YouTube. That'll be posted on Twitter, so you guys can follow that as well if you want. And eventually, they will go up on Spotify for the audio. Yeah, I think that's where we're gonna end it. You got anything else? You good? Go Birds. Sorry, Vid. Sorry.
That's it.
Go Birds, Vid. She's a
she's a Niner.
Niners fan. She likes. I know.
Oh God.
Oh God! Get out of here! Oh my God! Oh God! You can't ban her. She's a mod too. They can't fight each other.
Fucking sword fight! God. Sword fight! Put him in the pit.
We love you guys. Thank you guys for hanging out. We really do appreciate you guys. Send us your movies. Send us your stories. Send us everything. Throw it up there on Twitter. All right. DM us. Tag us and stuff. If like anything horror, tag the podcast. Let us know. All right. We want to hear from you. We want to interact. All right. We want to have a good time. We really do appreciate it. On behalf of me and Rose, again, we thank you guys. This has been the first episode of the Scream Philly podcast. And we will see you guys again soon. Later, everybody.